Welcome to the introductory lecture of our CS3280 object-oriented Windows using C#. I'm your professor, Sean Cowder. Just a little background on myself. I've actually graduated from Weber State in 2002. I went on to get a master's degree in computer information systems after that, and I've been working for Boeing here in Utah my entire career. So I have a lot of experience when it comes to C# and other .NET technologies in the applications of engineering projects associated with defense or airplanes, things like that. So let's kind of go over the basics of our class. Please watch this entire video. I know it can be, there's a lot and it's boring for the syllabus, but it really does cover a lot of the information about our class and everything that you'll need to be successful. So my information here at the top. Please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to use this email address. I try to respond as quick as possible. Emergencies, use my cell phone number, but most of the time I reply just fine to emails. Here's the book we're going to be dealing with. You're fine to use past editions of the book, but of course I would recommend the most recent version. Days and time, it's online, but I teach this course as if it's sort of like, whether I teach it online or in class, I kind of teach it the same. Typical stuff here. We're going to have two exams in our class. Both are quizzes. One's a midterm and one's a final. The final is comprehensive. Now you just take them online. You don't need a proctor. It's just sort of on an honesty principle. It's closed book, closed notes. I give you a complete outline for the midterm and final, so they should not be scary at all. Assignments. Well, this is a programming class, so you're going to have programming assignments due every couple weeks. Assignments must be handed in by midnight, the day it is due for full credit. Listen, if you turn it in at 12:30 or 1, I'm not going to worry about it. The reason I put this on here is because some students would stay up till 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and you should be working on it ahead of time so that you don't have to stay up that late, but just understand I'm not firm on that. Late assignments. So I actually allow you to turn assignments in past the due date. So if you want to turn in a late assignment, you have up to 1 week to turn in for late credit, but it will get hit with a 10% penalty. So if assignment was worth 10 points and you turned it in 3 days late, you get deducted 1 point. So it's 10% the whole week. So whether you turn it in a day late or 6 days late, it's the same penalty. So just keep that in mind. So you just want to turn back in your best work possible. Programming assignments will be turned in to Canvas, where you'll zip the entire solution. We'll talk about that later. If a student turns in an assignment early, if I have a chance to grade it and you get back those points that you missed, you can return in the assignment and get some of those points back. So just, again, if that's kind of I'd like you to turn stuff in early enough that you could get those points back. Now, of course, you're going to use code off the internet or from other people, things like that. I just ask that you put a little note in your documentation about where you got it from. Now, of course, copying and pasting an algorithm or a couple, 10, 20 lines of code is one thing. Copying entire pages of code or classes and objects, that's just not appropriate. And again, cheating will just be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. So my view on assignments. So each assignment, I try to give you enough time to complete it, but please understand these assignments are hard and you need to start early. You can't, it's just, you're not going to have a good time if on these assignments you just start on the due date. I promise you it's not going to work that way. I give you enough time, so learn to set up a schedule where you can work an hour or two, a couple days a week. And that's kind of why I don't allow assignments to be turned in late, because they can, other than 1 week late, because they can kind of snowball on you, and it just eventually it's just too much, and you'll never keep up. Let's see. So now working with students during emergencies, life happens. I understand this. If an emergency happens, your wife goes into labor, family member dies, you get extremely sick. I understand this. This is life happens. Please contact me as soon as possible. The sooner you contact me, the better chances I can actually help or give you some work with that. So please, just reach out to me. Again, if there's a reason I can extend the due date, I'm going on vacation 2 months from now is probably not a good reason. One thing I've noticed that sometimes towards the end of the semester, a student will have not turned in maybe 2 or 3 assignments, and they realize they're not going to get a passing grade now, so they ask if they can return in, or just turn in for the first time assignment 2 and assignment 5, and the answer is no. It's one thing to turn them in late or if something happens, but at the end of the class, that's just too late to go back and be trying to turn in all your past assignment. This is extremely important to me, asking questions. With an online class, we have to figure out a way to make a good connection between me and you. Because if you don't feel comfortable asking questions or when you need help, then this class, an online class in general, it's just going to be a bad experience. So I'm going to put this out there over and over again. Please don't hesitate to ask me questions. I'm an adjunct. I'm doing this because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy giving back. I enjoy trying to make a difference in people's academic careers and their future careers in the industry. So please, anything, if you have a question on assignment, just shoot me an email. If you have a question on, requirement or anything else, just please ask. I try to respond as quick as possible, and I think you'll see that as you start asking me questions. How to turn assignments. So in the lectures, you'll see that we create these Visual Studio projects, and all of them are going to be contained in a single, Windows folder. And I just want you to zip up that whole folder and submit it to Canvas. And again, in the lectures, I'll actually show you how to do that. So how to ask questions on an assignment. It's next to impossible if you don't send me your code. If you ask me a question and there's a compile error, and you just describe it, there's no way I can answer it. It's extremely rare. So what I need you to do is email me your code. And I prefer that you email it to me. So what that means is that some email servers like Gmail will actually block zip files if they contain any executable code. So in our assignments, if you have a question, you're going to email it to me. Make sure you delete the OBJ and bin folders. This will make more sense again as we start going through the lectures. But the reason for that is there's executable code in these folders, and so something like Gmail or other mail carriers will think that there's a virus and won't even let you send it. So again, just be aware that you may need to delete some code before you email it to me. Software, we're going to program in Visual Studio. I'd like you to use 2022, but if there's a reason you want to use an older version, that should work just fine. You can use a community edition, or I believe there's an education version you can get through Weber State. Visual Studio project types. Again, we'll go over this in the lectures themselves, but just be aware that there's a difference between these .NET project types and these .NET framework types. And these are the project types that we're going to select for this class. Pretty typical grading scale. Cheating, I have caught students cheating in the past, and it makes me feel horrible, to have to discipline or fail a person in a class, but, sometimes there's just nothing I can do. Now, this next set is sort of the schedule for the class. Now, it's an online class. You're welcome to watch these lectures however you want, but I would recommend watching 2 of these lecture sets a week. So when I teach this course in class, that's about the pace that students need to do in order to stay on track to complete the course on time. So again, just watch 2 lecture sets per week. And again, I have that note up here. Now you'll notice that what I've done in the syllabus here is I've said, okay, here's a set of lectures to watch. Here's the next set of lectures to watch. Now, after you've watched these 2, you now have enough information to complete assignment 1. Then as you move on, you're going to watch this lecture set and this lecture set the next week. Then the next week, you're going to watch this, at least this one and probably these, but at that point, you'll have enough for assignment 2, etc., etc. Each of the lecture videos may be watched by just clicking each of these video links off to the right. We'll also show you in Canvas how you can use modules essentially to walk through this exact same flow, but it's just all done in Canvas if you didn't want to come back here to the syllabus. I find that students, some prefer the syllabus approach like this where they just say, okay, I'm watching these set of lectures, then this set of lectures, and some people like it better just with the modules in Canvas. Again, same information, you decide. Here's the midterm. Please pay attention in Canvas when the midterms are due. More lectures, and then again a final at the end. If these dates don't correspond to the course you're currently in, then just ignore the dates. I think it'll kind of make sense. The things I want to come across here is not only just here are the due dates, but assignment 6 first part can't be turned in late. The group assignment prototype can't be turned in late. And then at the very end of the class, the group assignment or assignment 7, which is just extra credit, can also not be turned in late. So that ability to turn in something a week late, these ones cannot. When I'm grading assignments, there's 3 pieces of criteria I look at. the one is the most important. Are you meeting the requirements? So what I do is the very first time I get your code to grade it, I just run it. I don't look at the code, I don't do anything, and I just make sure it meets the requirements that are laid out. Then I stop the code or the program and I go behind and I look at the code itself. And I take a look, is the code commented correctly? And so this generally works out to a couple points per program. So if you didn't comment adequately or correctly, then I'm going to dock you. Is it structured or easy to read? Have you just copied and pasted, 10 times the same code rather than using one method? Things like that. So if you haven't structured the code correctly, I'll dock you for that. But again, the biggest thing is just did it meet the requirements. Assignment points. So just pay attention to the point values. Obviously, the higher point value ones are going to be a little bit harder assignments. Down here towards the end, so I really just want you to be consistent with your coding standards that you follow. Here's some recommended prefixes. Again, some people really dislike this. There's a lot of people in industry that love it or hate it. I don't really care. I just say be consistent. For me, it's helpful. So if I have a text box that holds the first name, I would do something like this, TXT and then first name. That way I know it's a text box that holds the first name. Again, some people don't like that nomenclature. If you don't, fine. Just please be consistent and make sure your variables are obvious, you know what they mean. Here's an example of what my expectations are for your XML and your coding. Again, we'll go over this in the various lectures. However, the class itself needs an XML comment. Type these 3 forward slashes and you'll see these XML tags pop up. For instance, this is saying this is the comment for this class. All class level attributes also need an XML comment, these 3 forward slashes. All methods, same thing. Notice how there's the method name, then there's also comments for the parameters themselves and the return value. Inside your methods, you want to use regular comments, just 2 forward slashes, in order to comment your code. So just kind of showing you the basics. And again, so every class, so if there was 10 of these class level variables, you'd need 10 different comments, not just one describing all of them. Same thing with the methods. You need comments for every single method. Now this is a question I get a lot, and it's right here in the syllabus is where the answer is. People ask me, for a given assignment, which example programs go for those assignment? We'll take a look at the example programs in just a minute, but throughout the class and during the lectures, I'm going to go over, these are the lecture example code that I've created for the class. And so for assignment 4, I mean, these are the key ones, but you would obviously also need these previous lectures also. Again, assignment 5, these are the main ones. However, you would need some of these past ones. And you notice some of these I'm even giving you complete outlines. So this is a math game outline for assignment number 5. So again, just please take a look at these example programs as they can help you with your assignments. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to Canvas now, and let's just kind of take a look at how this course will work online. So first, I do a lot of announcements. This is how I like to communicate with students in the class. So please be checking this, or if you haven't already set up to where you get an email every time a new notification is posted. So if I'm not going to be available, or there's been an update to assignment, or I just need to communicate something, this is the area that you're going to need to look at. In the assignments section here, I've got all the assignments listed out for the whole course and the due dates for them. So let's take a look at maybe assignment number 1. So you can see I've got assignment number 1, and there's 2 parts to assignment number 1, and I give you all the requirements for that. If we were to take a look at assignment number 2, you can kind of see that this one actually has a screenshot that I've given you. Most of the assignments have screenshots, but not all of them. Some of them I've wanted you to come out and be a little creative on how you would generate the user interface. Some of them I've kind of given you an example. It doesn't have to look exactly like this. What you do have to have is, for instance, displaying this data here, a way to get the user's guess, a way for them to click the roll, display a dice, and then display this down here. But instead of like a text box down here, you could have all labels, for example. You can change the colors. I would prefer it if you did change the colors. Try to make it look as professional as possible. And so that's how the assignments will work in this class. Also, we'll take a look at it just a second under the files. There's this document here. It's called course assignments. And what I've done is, just like in Canvas, I have every single assignment listed out with all of the requirements. So within here, you'll notice that I also start off telling you that for each assignment, here are the example programs that go with it. And as I go down, these are the exact requirements that you just saw on Canvas, along with the screenshots, all kinds of extra help. And for each assignment, I give you the commonly missed items at the end of it. So please make sure you go through these and sort of unit test your code and make sure you're not missing any of these requirements. Again, those are also online. If I were to go into here, you can see here's commonly missed items. Grades is pretty self-explanatory, but during the course, if you have any question about your grade, please don't hesitate to ask me. Under the Files section, you notice here's our syllabus at the top, just some screenshots. Here's that course assignments I was just talking about. README is just a document talking about how the book is optional. Files for students. So this is an important one. You'll want to download this. And this is what it's going to look like once you download it and extract it. So I'm going to go through each of these folders and kind of describe what they hold. So for assignment 6, I've given you some help for it. So this isn't a database class, nor is it a prerequisite to have taken a database class. So assignment 6, we're going to be storing data to a database. So I give you the database right here. That's where we're using Access. Now Access, I get it. It's a small, very portable database. And if you can insert and edit and delete records from an Access database, you can do Oracle or SQL Server or MySQL. It doesn't make a difference. And so this just makes it very easy because it's just one file that we can pass along with our assignments. I've also given you an example so you can actually run this airline system and see how it's supposed to run. I also give you all of the SQL help that you'll need for your assignment. So I've given you some help up here, and then I've described the tables, and then down here I've given you all the SQL statements. Because again, you shouldn't have to know how to write SQL. But there are some things like this. For instance, I've hard-coded this 1 in here where you would have to dynamically add in a 1 or a 2. Same thing down here. So you wouldn't want to just copy and paste this whole thing. You would dynamically need to put in the seat number, whatever seat number the person selected, for example. So just be aware of that. Book code examples. So what I've done is I've downloaded all of the book code examples that we're going to go through in our different lectures. So if you're to come in here for chapter 2, you can see here's all the information for 2. For 5, you can go into the different figures and you can open up the solutions. So that's all the examples from the book, and I've also included some extra ones on threading and then WPF there. So this file here, this all chapter outline, this is actually what I give the lectures from. So if you want, this is already all the notes you need to take. Right here, these are all the things I found important to talk about from the book, or things you need to learn. So what I would do is, as you watch the lecture videos, I would go through here and make your own notes within this so that you can refer back to it, the things you thought were important as you go through here. So if there was something about this while program that you want to take some notes on, again, I would just update this document yourself for everything you do. But again, I've outlined the entire book for you, so you don't have to worry about creating those notes. And again, that's what I teach from. This data access class, this is code that you are allowed to use. It's code we use to access databases, and we'll actually write that in one of the lectures, but I've given it a heavy time. I believe this is for assignment number 2. Here's some dice images that you can use for that. Example programs. So here's all those example programs that you'll see me go over in our lectures. So just kind of be aware that they're all in here for you, and you're welcome to copy and paste code from these different lectures. I've also got a final outline, and I've also got a midterm outline. So I will go over all the possibilities of questions for assignments for your midterm and your final. Midterm and final, they're like multiple choice, they're matching, they're true and false. I'm not going to have you write out any code. Don't worry, that makes no sense to me in a programming course. And if you final project help. So here you'll notice I'm also giving you some more database help, and then the database that you can use on that final project. So going back into Canvas, we can open up the syllabus. Again, just pretty typical syllabus at the top, all the dates, if you need access or contact other people in our class. So now here's the module. So if I jump back to the syllabus real fast and I scroll up, what I've tried to do is I've tried to create all of this in the modules in the Canvas section. So what you'll notice here, if I want to, I'll collapse all these, and you can open up Course Introduction, and then you could click on Course Introduction, and it's going to tell you all the introductory stuff that you need to read in the lecture that you need to watch. lecture set number 1, if you come in here and click on this, you're going to see it's going to show you the 2 lectures that you need to watch. And as you go down, as soon as you watch these lectures up here, now you have enough information to complete assignment 1, etc., etc. So as you go down, you can see these lecture sets are going to correspond to these lecture sets over here. So again, how you choose to go through the class is up to you. Some people like it fall through here. Some people like it better when it comes to the syllabus. So quizzes, you're going to have your 2 quizzes that you need. You have the final and the midterm. And that's about it for what you're going to need to know for the class. Again, please don't hesitate to ask me any questions that you have. I'm your professor, and we'll see you online.